Today is really an opportunity to come together to focus on a very difficult issue, an issue which I'm encouraged that there is an opportunity to get to some solutions. Now, I've said many times that the last few years we seem to have lost sight of the fact that we are a democracy. And a democracy really is about people coming together and figuring out ways to solve complex problems. In the last few years, we seem to have looked at the world and said, we don't want to get the solutions, we just simply want to focus on principles, what we believe in, and we're not worried about the common good. And as we come together around this issue, I think that there are solutions if we make a commitment to get the solutions. And I'm hopeful that leadership in Washington is beginning to understand that we've got a few people at least willing to take on this very difficult issue. But I think in order to be successful, it's going to take all of us participating, letting our views be known, and also setting the expectation that we need to get about solutions. Certainly, the university has a stake in this issue because we have large numbers of students that are here studying, who are the children of immigrant workers, who really and truly want to get an education and want to be participating members of our community and our society. So I urge all of you to do the best you can to recognize that this is a complex problem and not an easy solution, but that if we send a message, it's time to get the solutions. In fact, I think it's possible to get something done. Fred Frangi has been a great friend of the university, a great friend of education, and a great friend of Central California. So, Fred, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
I want to thank Dr. Welty of Fresno State University for letting us put this program on. It kind of got cooked up with our farm labor contractors that we use on all our ranches, and we're a firm believer in that the farm worker is a very vital, important part of our whole being in the San Joaquin Valley here. Without the farm workers, we wouldn't be bringing the crops to the tables and the fruit to the wineries or to the canneries. This whole food chain would come to a halt. And as I read the immigration papers that I'm hearing in the newspapers and things and watching on the news, I think the farm worker is forgotten. You know, they're talking about the silicone people, they're talking about the high-level entries. It still gets down to the basic farm worker, farming the fields. That's the most important link as far as we're concerned. And that's a message tomorrow we want you to bring back. It's just not immigration per se, it's the people that are here, how they can remain here and be part of what this America is all about, not being on the dodge and act like they're some criminal element. I want to thank the Bravo Ag Group, made up of a group of farm labor contractors. Oscar, you're going to be hearing from later on today, has taken a lot of interest in the topic and has been very helpful. Sponsoring this event today, and I think it's worthwhile for all of us. Also want to acknowledge Lupe Sandoval. I think I saw him somewhere.
I know you, Fred.
Okay, Lupe formed the Farm Labor, California Farm Labor Contractors, and is working pretty hard on this issue with us also, so I want to acknowledge him. I get back to the questions of science, is what's California need. I think the basic truth of the matter is we need farm workers and people that will remain on the farms and not migrate from the farms up to higher paying jobs or where they perceive it to be a higher status. I'm sure that the unions and the National Union in Washington, D.C., and the Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. are not even dealing with this type of topic, and that's what concerns me. I think this is an issue for the independent farm workers and the right to choose where they provide labor. It's as simple as that. It's a freedom of choice, a freedom of deciding where they want to be. Our company is very interested in seeing a workable solution for our farm workers regarding immigration and safe working conditions in the fields, which I think goes hand in hand. And we look forward to the day that it's we don't have to have all these criminal type sanctions against us as an employer or against our farm laborers or E-Verify and all this other stuff they come up with that makes it harder and harder to do business. It's a freedom of choice. I'm a firm believer in it, and it's the way I think it should go. As a basic rule of thumb, the Latinos are a major portion of the farm labor workforce, and I think that they deserve the respect that they should give for the benefit they provide. And that's what I hope to come out of here today with. I don't have any answers. I just think that we've got to focus in the San Joaquin Valley and the farm workers, and I hope that that's what the message goes back to Washington for. So thank you very much for being part of this.
Well, thank you so much. Good morning. I'm Tamar Jacoby. I'm president of ImmigrationWorks USA. Start by thanking our hosts. Thank you to President Welty and Fresno State University. Thank you to Fred Franzia and Bronco Wine Company. And thank you to Oscar Ramos and the Bravo Ag Group. Thank you very much for your hospitality, and thank you for your partnership in this event. So who the heck is ImmigrationWorks, and what are they doing here? Why are we in Fresno having an event? We're a national federation of business owners, agricultural and others, who want a better immigration system. And we've been fighting for about the past 6-7 years to organize and mobilize employers around the country who know that the system is broken, and instead of kind of, hoping that someone will fix it and waiting for someone to fix it, have been getting mobilized and lifting up their voices and saying what they need out of a better system, and also providing support for lawmakers, political cover and support for lawmakers who are having the courage to try to fix the system. So we're a national group, and we have pro-immigration business coalitions in 25 states. And what we do is have meetings like this where we work in Washington, where we try to influence the lawmakers who are making the policy. And then we have meetings like this and groups like this out and around in 25 states, where we try to bring people like all of you into the political process that's thinking about what the solution should be on immigration. And from my personal point of view, I always need to say in front of a farm group, you can see that I'm not like farm girl, right? I'm from New York City, I live in Washington, I'm really interested in farms and I love being out on a farm, but I'm clearly not a farm girl. But what I want you to know is I know that too. I love being out here and being among farmers, but I know kind of my place in the universe, and I'm here to listen to you and hear about your realities. And try to take that message, as Fred Franzia said, take that message back to Washington. So I just want to say a few words about the goal of the day. There's been a lot for about, more than a year now, there's been some high-level, very intense, very, I think intense is the right word, conversations going on in Washington and at the national level about what's the best answer for agriculture in immigration reform. We all know the system is broken now, and Congress is getting ready to try to fix it, but what is the answer? What should the solution look like? What should the new system look like? What should the new visa process look like? What should happen to the workers already here? And there's been a high-level lot of thinking about that. A lot of different groups that many of you are probably involved in, from the American Farm Bureau Federation to the AGR group to the National Council of Agricultural Employers, so a lot of different groups have been involved. Groups that once upon a time didn't really agree with each other, right? And there's years of kind of, we think one thing, no, we think another thing, no, we think another thing. In recent year, these groups have been coming together and really putting their heads together and working hard and getting over some of their past animosity or differences and trying to come up with a single solution. And they've come up with kind of a set of ideas that they now need to bring back to people, in the real world and say, what do you think about this plan? Does this plan actually work? They cooked it up 30,000 at the 30,000 foot level, and those groups, many of those groups, all of those groups, are going out to their base and talking to their base and saying, does this plan work for you? But it's a big base, and there's a lot of work to be done to get to the base and get all of the base's input, and the base, in the best sense, people on the ground in real farms. And so what ImmigrationWorks is trying to do, we were not part of that group that actually came up with the idea, but we want to be helpful in bringing it out to folks in the real world and getting your input and taking it back. And so the idea of today's meeting is a two-way street, right? Where at the first part of the day, some of the people who've been part of these 30,000 feet negotiations are going to be here and tell you a little bit about the plan they cooked up. And then the second part of the day is, again, we want to get your input on that plan. What do you think about it? Is it a good plan? How should it be adjusted? What messages do we need to take back to Washington so that if this plan becomes law, it really works for you? So that's the goal of the day, is really a two-way street where there's some conversation first about here's what we've been thinking about in these 30,000 feet conversations, and then input from you back to improve what's come out of those 30,000 foot conversations. So I think that's really all the preparation we need to do. We're really looking forward to it. There'll be 3 sessions, and then the last session, which is really the most important, is where we're going to really open it up. I mean, there's going to be room for questions in every session, but the second to last session will be a bunch of folks from this area having their input, but then the very last session, we're going to really open it up to everyone in the room, sort of like a town hall. We hope all of you will speak up and air your concerns about what you've heard from the rest of the day. There'll be room to have input all through the day in question and answer period, but the last question is in a way the culmination of the day, we're hoping, where we open up the conversation and everyone gets involved. So I think with that, with no further ado, let's start the first session. Brian Little, join me. Thank you all for being here. Looking forward to the day with you.